Okay, for the back side, you're going to need to use your Trig formula sheet. You get to use that on the quiz on Thursday, so make sure you have that with you. If you don't have a copy, I'll have a few extra. The only thing I really told you you could add to it, I don't have it written on here, but we, I believe, had a formula for the cotangent of 2 theta that you might possibly have on here. But other than that, it should not have any of your ordered pairs or any of that kind of stuff on there. Okay, so let's look at this one. This one says the secant of one angle, remember this is an angle, plus another angle. So I don't have a formula on my sheet for secant, but I do have cosine. So what I have to make sure I remember, and off to the side, you might want to just put a note to yourself that you need to do the reciprocal. We're going to find the cosine of our angle alpha plus our beta. So this is alpha, I'm calling that alpha, I'm calling that beta. Once I find the cosine, I have to remember to take the reciprocal. So, formula for cosine of alpha plus beta is cosine of the first angle. I'm going to write this down, then we'll find those things. Cosine of the second minus sine of the first, sine of the second. So sometimes I like to write that formula down just so I have it and remember what I'm looking for. So in alpha, I'm given the tangent. So I need to find the cosine and the sine. So when I draw the picture, it's inverse tan of 4/5. So that means the y value is 4, the x value is 5. I'm going to label that alpha. So remember that's the angle alpha. So if I take 5 squared plus 4 squared equals r squared, 25 plus 16 is r squared, and that is 41. So r is the square root of 41. That's alpha. So now I should be able to find the sine and the cosine of alpha. All right, for beta, I need to know the cosine of beta and the sine of beta. I've got the cosine of beta. I just need to find the sine of beta. So when I draw that picture, cosine is negative in the second quadrant. Cosine goes from 0 to pi. So cosine is the x value over the r value. So x is -1 and r is 3. So if I take -1 squared plus y squared, I get 3 squared. So 9 minus 1 is 8. Don't forget to simplify that radical. I think it's better if you do it right away. Square root of 8 is 2 radical 2. That's the y value for beta. I'll label that one beta. All right, so now we just fill in our formula. Cosine of alpha is the x over the r, so it's 5 over radical 41. Cosine of beta is the x over the r, so it's -1/3. Minus sine of alpha is 4 over radical 41. 4 over radical 41. And sine of beta is 2 radical 2 over 3. Now, to simplify that, you're just going to multiply. So multiplying straight across here, I get -5 over 3 radical 41. Minus, here I'm going to get 8 radical 2 over 3 radical 41. And so since they're like denominators, which they, again, always will be, you just have to add the numerators. I can't combine those are not like terms. So I have a -5 minus 8 radical 2 all over 3 radical 41. Now, that's the cosine. What did we say? We had to remember, and I put a little note over here to remind myself I have to find the reciprocal. So now I have to say, okay, if that's the cosine, my final answer, so I probably shouldn't have circled that one, my final answer is the reciprocal of that, so it's 3 radical 41 over -5 minus 8 radical 2. That's my final answer. So maybe I should probably erase this. So don't circle 2 answers because then it's kind of bad to see. So probably better if I erase that and make sure that I know that's my answer. All right, 12, tangent. Again, it's tangent of alpha plus beta. Formula for the tangent of alpha plus beta is tangent alpha tangent plus tangent beta over 1 minus tangent alpha tangent beta. Now, you don't have to write that formula down, but sometimes, since I don't have the sheet in front of you, I want to make sure we're all using the same formula. All right, so I need to know alpha and beta. So again, over here, let's draw that picture. Alpha, inverse sine is negative, so it's down in the fourth quadrant, negative y over r. And so if I use Pythagorean theorem, I'm going to get r squared is going to equal 25 minus 1, which is 24. So square root of 24 is 2 radical 6. So I'm going to kind of just write down what x is, not r, what the x value is of that. But use Pythagorean theorem to get it. When I want to do inverse, excuse me, cosine of 2/3, that's x over r. So I need to find the y value. So if I take 9 minus 4, I get square root of 5. So again, I kind of skip the steps to find that, but that's what you should get for using Pythagorean theorem. Now when we want to do the tangent of alpha, if this is my alpha, this is my beta. For alpha, the tangent is y over x, so it's going to be negative 1 over 2 radical 6. The tangent of beta is y over x, so it's radical 5 over 2. And 1 minus 1 over 2 radical 6 times radical 5 over 2. Alright, so there's a little bit of simplifying to do here. I would always probably multiply this first before I do anything with those complex fractions. So I would probably do that first, negative 1 over 2 radical 6 plus radical 5 over 2 over 1 plus, because I'm subtracting a negative, I'm going to have radical 5 on the top and 4 radical 6 on the bottom. Okay, so do that first. Do that multiplication. You're just multiplying straight across. All right, then you just look at your denominators. The only thing you have to do to simplify is look at your denominators. I have a 2 times radical 6, and a 4 times radical 6. So the least common denominator that I need to multiply by is a 4 radical 6. And if you want to do it over 1, that's fine, and 4 radical 6 over 1. So with the first fraction, 2 is going to cancel with the 4, and be left with a 2. The radical 6's are going to cancel, so I'm left with 2 times negative 1. For the second fraction, 2 is going to go into the 4 twice, but nothing else cancels, so I have a radical 6 times a radical 5. So I've got the 2 right here, because it canceled with the 4. I have radical 5 times radical 6, that's radical 30. So it's plus 2 radical 30 over, I have to take 1 times 4 radical 6 plus, here that whole thing's going to cancel, I'm left with a radical 5. And again, I'm not making you rationalize denominators. After that, you can leave that answer. All right, then the other ones have to do with double and half. This one is secant of 2. Again, that's an angle, if you want to think of it as theta, alpha, whatever you want to call it. So I'm looking for the secant of 2 times my angle, my theta. So I'm going to draw my theta over here. Theta is inverse cosine of negative 4/5. So x is negative 4. The radius is 5. And so my y value would be 3. So my formula for secant of 2 theta, I have a formula for the cosine of 2 theta, but again, I'm going to flip it when I'm done and look at the reciprocal. So again, I'm going to make a note to myself, I've got to do the reciprocal. So we're going to do the cosine of 2 theta. There are 3 different formulas to use. It doesn't matter which one you use. I'll use the one that says 2 cosine squared theta minus 1. So I'm going to take 2 times the cosine. The cosine of this theta angle is negative 4/5 squared minus 1. I have to square first, so when I take that times itself, I get 16 over 25. When I take 2, which is 2 over 1, times 16 over 25, I get 32 over 25. Minus 1, which is 25 over 25, I get 7/25. Now, that is the cosine. I want the secant, so I have to take the reciprocal, 25/7. All right, and then see if we can get these two in. Cosine of theta over 2. All right, so theta is this angle right here. So if I draw the picture of that, inverse tan is negative down here. That's y over x, so negative 3 over 1. And so 9 plus 1 is 10, so this is radical 10. So that's my theta. So the cosine of theta over 2 is plus or minus the square root of 1 plus the cosine of theta over 2. So all I'm really going to do is figure out what the cosine of theta is. I have that. I do have to decide if it's plus or minus. Now realize inverse tan is down here, so it's between negative pi over 2 and 0. So if I'm going to take half of that angle, half of theta is also going to be between 0, it's going to be in the fourth quadrant, it's going to be between 0 and negative pi over 4, half of that range of answers. So I do know it's going to be a positive cosine because it's going to be in the fourth quadrant. Square root of 1 plus the cosine of this is going to be 1 over radical 10 all over 2. All I need to do is get rid of that complex fraction, so I'm going to multiply by radical 10 over radical 10. So I'm going to get the square root of 10, because I have to take that times 1, plus 1 all over 2 radical 10. And that's it. That's all you need to do to simplify that. And the last one, I think I'm going to run out of time, but again, it's the sine of 2 theta. And so you can look at my notes at what I did, but I drew the picture of inverse cosine this negative over here, and I found the y value. And then once I had that, I used my formula for sine of 2 theta. But I'm running out of time, so just look at the answer key to that one.